Hello and welcome back to The Long Way Forward. This is episode 22. If you've been listening since episode 1, welcome back. If you haven't, by all means pop back and start at episode 1 if you like the content, because it all begins there, quite literally. Episode 1, episode 2, they're the foundations. This podcast is not about fixing you. You're not broken, but it is about helping you to be more efficient and more effective in your outcomes. Today, on episode 22, we're going to talk about something that sits underneath everything we've been building so far, and we have been building. The title of this episode is Trust. Trust is the currency of leadership, and it's the currency of life. And trust is so hard to earn, but it's one of the easiest things to lose. Now, if you've been following along, you'll recognize that we've taken this journey step by step. Any journey is step by step. If you're joining for the first time, as I said, I highly encourage you to get the most from this series to start at the beginning, our foundations, and subscribe. We started with principles. This is the background so far. We've started with principles, what you stand for, then alignment, perseverance, knowing your numbers, reflection, leadership, standards, accountability. Some fantastic modules right there. And now we arrive at trust. Because trust is what connects it together. It's what helps everything else work better. Here's a simple thought to start with. Nothing, and I mean nothing, meaningful moves forward without trust. In a way, if you've been with me from the start, I'm actually humbled by that. Because to me, your action of following and continuing to listen and join the journey with me, that's trust, and I thank you for it. As I said, nothing, but nothing moves forward without trust. Not relationships, not teams, not businesses, societies, leadership. It's all built on trust. So that's why I say trust is the foundation that literally everything sits on. Here's an interesting thought. Trust is not built through words, though, is it? It's built through behaviour, actions, what you see people do, repeated behaviour, consistent behaviour. You don't build trust by saying, you can trust me. That's one of the greatest jokes, isn't it? Trust me, I'm a salesman. You build trust by showing over time that you can be trusted. And this is where it links back directly to everything we've touched on. Your principles, your alignment, your consistency, your accountability. Because every one of these things contributes to trust. Kind of like subscribing to this podcast. Sorry, had to put that in there. Let me break it down for you. If you say you'll do something and you do it, trust builds. If you show up when you say you will, trust builds. If you stay consistent, even when things are difficult, you guessed it, trust builds. If you take ownership when something goes wrong, trust builds. It's not one big moment. It's a series of small, repeated actions. Now, here's something important to understand on that. Trust takes time to build, but you can lose it in a heartbeat. One moment of inconsistency, one broken commitment, one decision that glaringly doesn't align with what you stand for, and suddenly, trust is questioned. Now, it doesn't always disappear completely, but it weakens. And once trust weakens, things become more difficult. Do you know what I'm saying? I think we've all been there. Communication becomes harder. You can say things, but maybe people don't want to listen because they don't trust you as much. Decisions become harder because you don't trust yourself as much. Relationships become harder. And I'm not going to unpack that too deeply. I think we all can see where trust comes into it. Because without trust, people hesitate. They second guess. They hold back. And that could be hold back so many things in so many ways, and they all have direct impacts on the future, your future. This is why trust matters so much, because it creates ease. When trust is strong, things flow. People communicate openly. Decisions move faster. Collaboration, working together, improves. You've got to have trust for that, don't you? And you don't have to force outcomes because they happen naturally. Let's bring this back to a real world perspective. Think about someone in your life that you trust completely. Think about someone in your life that you trust completely. What makes you trust them? It's not what they say. It's what they do. It's what they've done again and again and again, even when they didn't have to. They still did it. They're dependable. They're consistent. They follow through. They don't change under pressure. You ever hear the saying, they got your back? That's someone you trust. They also act in a way that aligns with what they stand for. And even if they haven't ever articulated that to you, you've probably picked it up. And you know which way they'll jump because you know what their values are. And because of that, you feel comfortable around them. You don't have to second guess. That is the power of trust. Are you that person to them, to someone else? I bet you are. Probably don't know it. Here's something I've learned over time. Trust is built in the small moments. Not the big ones, the small ones. Turning up on time, responding when you say you will, following through on something simple, being honest, sometimes brutally, even when it's uncomfortable, being honest. These are the moments that build trust. And most people don't think much of them. They overlook them because they seem small. They're just a moment in time. But they're more than that. Way more than that. Those moments in time compound. Let's look at the opposite for a moment. What erodes trust? What removes trust? What lessens trust? Inconsistency. Remember the last 2 episodes ago we talked about consistency. Inconsistency destroys trust. Saying one thing, doing another. Avoiding responsibility. Not following through. And reacting differently depending on the situation. Because when people don't know what to expect from you, trust disappears. How can they know what to expect from you? You jump different ways all the time. No one knows what you're going to do. You're unreliable. You're untrustworthy. And here's where this becomes really important. It's not just external. Trust is internal as well. Do you trust yourself? Because this matters more than most people realize. If you say you're going to do something and you don't, you actually break faith with yourself. You weaken trust with yourself. If you set a standard and you don't follow it, you weaken trust with yourself. And over time, that affects your confidence, your decisions, because you don't know what you're going to do, your consistency. If you're consistent, decisions are easy. Trust me, and that speeds you up. You feel great. Your decisions align with what you stand for. Your conscience is clear. If you make those decisions in breach of your values, of what you stand for, your conscience is not clear. Because deep down, what that means is you're not fully backing yourself. But when you build trust with yourself, everything changes. You follow through with clarity. You make decisions with confidence because you know you'll do what you say. Now let's connect this back to one of the previous episodes on leadership. And if you haven't listened to that one and you want to get into leadership, there's about 8 or 9 episodes that are really good for it. Now, trust is the foundation of influence. People don't follow titles, they follow trust. You can have the biggest title in the room, but if people don't trust you, they won't truly follow you. They might respect the title. They will comply, but they won't commit. They don't have your back. There's a massive difference between them complying and committing. When trust is strong, people lean in, they engage, they contribute, they support, They build up because they feel safe. And that is what trust creates. Psychological safety. That's deep, isn't it? That's intense. Trust creates psychological safety. How good is feeling safe? Here's a practical example. Imagine a team environment where trust is low and another one where trust is high. In the low trust environment, what will people do? Will they give their all? No, not a chance. They hold back. They don't speak up. They avoid risk. They avoid risking themselves. They protect themselves because they don't feel safe. In the high trust environment, people contribute. They share ideas, they take ownership, and they support each other. Same people, different environment. The difference? Trust. If there's one thing I've worked on in all my time as a leader, and I'm still working on it, it's to gain trust. Believe me, you got to earn it. It makes all the difference. And the psychological safety it brings your team, priceless. Here's something for you to think about this week. Ask yourself, where in my life am I currently building trust? Think about it in terms of consistency with your values. Where in my life am I building trust? And where might I be weakening it? Now, the power in this is if you're honest with yourself. Ask, where am I building trust? And where might I be weakening it? If you understand where that is, your answer will show you exactly what to do. The aim of the game is build trust. Remember, build. If you know you're weakening it, whatever you're doing that's causing that, stop. If you're working on building it, great. Do more of that. Then ask yourself, what's the one small action I can do today to build trust? Not 10 things, just one. Maybe it's following through on something you've been putting off. Maybe it's about having an honest conversation, or maybe it's just showing up more consistently, turning up to meetings on time. Small actions, repeated. That is how trust is built. Small actions, repeated. Now remember this. We're nearly there. Just stay with me. Remember this. Trust is not something you demand. It's something you earn. And once it's earned, it becomes one of the most powerful assets you have. You've got to maintain it. Just because you've earned it doesn't mean it stays there for life. You've got to keep doing those things that mean you're worthy of trust. But when you've earned it, it becomes one of the most powerful assets you can have. Trust reduces friction. It builds momentum, and it allows everything else to work cleanly. This is the Long Way Forward podcast. My name's Brian. In the next episode, we're going to build a little more, because once trust is in place, something else becomes possible. Influence. An influence at a deeper level. The kind that shapes decisions, environments, and outcomes over time. And that's the whole point of this podcast, to improve your decisions, your environments, and your outcomes. Thanks for being here, and hopefully I'll see you in the next episode. Don't forget to subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments. I do answer, and I'm really enjoying the community that this podcast is creating. See you in the comments.